But today I'm talking about money. Okay? Prosperity. That's what we're talking about.
Yep.
Yeah. And all month we've been talking about the lessons in the art of living. So last week we talked about forgiveness, next week we're talking about happiness, and today's abundance. Growing up in our culture, we likely heard the following statements. Money doesn't grow on trees. Right? Money is the root of all evil. We all know that one. Money can't buy happiness. Money is not that important. It's only money. The rich get richer. The poor get poorer. We have to work hard for money. How many of you all have heard those statements, either from your parents or it's just in the air, right? It's just everywhere. Yeah. And some of us may have even heard messages from our parents that said, oh, we can't afford that. No, we can't do that. No, we don't have the money for that. Yeah, and so we start to hear these messages, and we begin to have maybe a not so positive relationship with money as we go through life. Yes?
Yes.
Yeah. And, words are powerful. And when we're kids, the most impressionable time for us is when we are born. Actually, I still think even when we're in the womb, until we're 5, because we absorb everything that we hear. And we may not even fully understand it, but we're taking all of this information in. And they have energy. And as we grow and as we go through life, we begin to pick up on these messages, whether we understand them or not, and they begin to impact us. Yeah, they begin to impact us. And as we go through life, we start to have thoughts about money. As we get out into the world and we get a job and we start making money, we have certain thoughts that come. And sometimes those thoughts are thoughts that say, oh, I can't afford that. Oh, I can't do that. Oh, I'd like to do that. Oh, that person's making money. How do I get there? I'm not sure how to get there. And we start to have these thoughts, patterns of thinking that move through us. Yes? Yeah, we all have those. And thoughts then turn into beliefs. And when they become a belief, they get lodged in there. Yeah, it starts to actually become more locked in. And our beliefs, we may not even realize what our beliefs are. As we are going through life, we might carry a belief that says, I'll never be as rich as so-and-so. I'll never be as wealthy. I'll never have the abundance that I desire. I won't have the money or the success that I want in my life. And so we walk around with these beliefs that we've carried over from childhood, or who knows where they came from. So the first step in abundance, in creating abundance in our life, is to look at, what are my patterns of thought? What are the beliefs that I'm holding, that I'm walking around with? Is it possible that there are beliefs that I'm holding that are preventing me from achieving the abundance that I want in my life? Is it possible? Yeah. And so, but we don't really think about that. We're not really conscious of that as we're going through life. We're just going through life. And then we come to a spiritual center like this, or we read a spiritual book about abundance, and we start to learn these tools. Okay, I'm going to affirm that I'm going to make a lot of money, and I'm going to affirm that I'm going to bring more money into my life. Or we watch a movie like The Secret. That was a long time ago, but many of us have seen that movie, right? And it shows pictures of people with, opulence and all of this. And we think, okay, I'm just going to affirm, and I'm going to manifest what I want in my life. And then we don't. And why is that? Why is it that we're not able to manifest the amount of abundance that we truly want or desire? And what I believe, it's because of the beliefs that we're holding. Some of them are unconscious. We're not even aware of what our beliefs are. And so, I'm going to talk about today, how do we get there? How do we actually transform our beliefs? How do we transform our consciousness in order to actually manifest the abundance that we desire? So that's what I'm going to talk about today. One belief that I think is really interesting in spiritual communities, at least I had this one, is that if you're spiritual, you can't be wealthy. How many of you have had this? That on some level, it doesn't quite go. I lived in LA, some of you know this, for a long time, and I was involved in the Kundalini yoga community there. And there was a woman by the name of Guru Mukh. And Guru Mukh was the Kundalini teacher to the stars. And once in a while I'd go to her class, and afterwards she'd invite us all over to her home for chai and snacks and connection. And I remember the first time I went over to her house, I drove up to this gorgeous house, and she drives up in her beautiful white Mercedes convertible. And I remember thinking to myself, what is going on? Here's this woman who claims to be so spiritual, and she's doing all these spiritual things, and she's teaching these spiritual classes, and she's flashing her wealth. And I was in such judgment of her. At that time in my life, I thought that there was something wrong with that. That if you're spiritual, that wealth just didn't go with that. And it was such a misunderstanding at that time. And so, you know, I was walking around with that. That was a belief that I was holding, that on some level, if you're spiritual, you cannot also be wealthy. You cannot have this abundance in your life. You need to be humble. And, right, and live, I don't know, a life of poverty or something. I'm not sure what I thought, but such a misunderstanding of truly the principle. So it's important that we understand what these beliefs are, and what beliefs that we're holding. So I invite you right now to just look at your own life. What are possibly the beliefs that you carried over from your parents? The things that your parents said over and over again, indirectly, what messages did you receive that perhaps you're still carrying today? That perhaps are impacting your ability to achieve the abundance that you want, the abundance that you deserve, actually. Yeah. But beliefs can be changed. First, we have to be aware of them. First, we have to understand our patterns of thinking, and it can be changed. That's the good news. That's the good news. And so, it's important first to start paying attention, and then once we are aware, we have the power to choose. And this is why we talk so much in our philosophy about affirmations and the power of affirmations. But it's not enough to just say, I am abundant. I am attracting abundance and opulence in my life. I am attracting more and more money every day. It's not enough to say these things. And we hear them in spiritual communities, and we repeat them over and over again, and then we have no impact, and then we say, it doesn't work. And then we move on. It doesn't work for me. The real power in affirmations is actually to feel it, to embody it in your being. And science has proven this, that when we focus on something, it expands. And not only when we focus on something, the pattern of thought that our brain has, so there's certain synapses that fire in a particular way. Science has proven this. When we have certain patterns of thought that say, I don't have enough, thought that say I can't do that, thoughts that say it's not possible for me, the brain continues to fire in that way. And then what? Then it also shows up in our reality. It shows up actually in our life. So if it's true that we can create a certain neural pathway that says this isn't possible, we can also create a pathway in our brain that says this is possible. I can achieve this. So with practice and with repetition, we can absolutely do that. But the real power is actually feeling it in our body. It's not enough to just say it. We have to actually imagine it as if it's happening right here, right now. That's the real power. Eric Butterworth, a wonderful unity minister, said this. He said, he said this. Wow. Eliminate all thoughts of lack that say I can't, I'm afraid, and there's not enough from your consciousness. Talk only about the things that you want to see live and grow. So if we want a different relationship with money, if we want a different relationship with abundance in our life, we have to be willing to see it differently. If you have money in your wallet and you take it out and look at it, it's just a piece of paper. We add all the energy to it. We say, oh, I don't have enough. We add all of that meaning to it. Do we not?
We do.
Yes, we do that. Yeah. And so, paying attention on a daily basis to the patterns of thinking that say, how often on a daily basis do you say, I can't afford that. I can't do that. That's not going to happen. How often do you find your mind going in that direction? And if you can notice it, then you can shift it. Then you can choose to have a different thought, to focus on something else. And you know, it's interesting in our culture because we think that our money is only going to come from a certain place. I get a paycheck every month from CU. I know how much it is. It's the exact same amount every month, right?
Right.
Some of you have pension that you receive or Social Security, and it's the same amount, and you know when it's coming, and you know where it's coming from. And we rely on these things to come and be deposited into our bank accounts. But here's the thing, is that our job, our retirement income, the government, is not our source. God is our source. God is our source. But we forget that. We forget that by simply going outside and beyond of where we think that money's going to come from and know and trust that it's going to come from somewhere else. So I tested this one time. I had a certain figure in mind that I wanted every month. Now, I have a check from here, I have a check from CU. It's like, okay, but I want this amount. And suddenly, probably within 6 months, it changed and that more money started coming in. So we have to get out of thinking, limited thinking, that it's only going to come from a certain place. You know, in our culture, we talk about fixed income, and some of you may be on a fixed income. What a horrible word.
Yeah.
Seriously, right? What a horrible word, because what does it imply? That it's fixed. There's no possibility of it being anything other than what it is. And also, when we hear that someone's on a fixed income, we also think that this is someone who doesn't have a lot of money. So those of you who are on a fixed income, I invite you to stop using that term altogether. Okay? Just stop. Because it's not serving you. It's not serving you. And so what is it that you want? What is it that you desire? Don't limit it by thinking my money is only going to come from this place. Because God has all kinds of divine ideas, and if we open ourselves up enough, we can receive that. And we can know that deep within our being. It is possible, but we first have to believe it. We first have to know that and feel that and trust that. And it's an ongoing relationship, isn't it, with God? It's a process. Sometimes we feel we're in trust, and then other times we're like, okay, no, my money's only coming from here, and that's, again, you know, we start to feel that stress again. And so we close our eyes, and we get quiet, and we go within. And we remind ourselves of our connection to God, and we affirm, God is my source. Not my job, not the government, God is my source. And so, what do you want? What do you desire? What kind of success do you want to achieve in your life? What kind of abundance do you want to experience right now in your life? Whatever that is. Don't limit it by thinking, oh, well, I don't have the skills, or I don't have the ability, or where you live, or it's the economy, or it's, right? It's so easy to say, oh no, this can't happen because. This isn't possible because. We do that. Our human selves do that. Our spiritual selves, there's no limitations in God. There's absolutely no limitations. There's an infinite supply. Just like there is infinite number of grains of sand on this planet, there is an infinite amount of abundance to go around to every single person, but we have to believe it. We have to believe that it is possible. Abraham Hicks, some of you know their work, they said this: people assume that because they are speaking the words, I want more money, they are speaking positively about money. But when you're speaking of money and you are feeling fear or discomfort as you speak, You are not speaking of the subject of money, but instead you are speaking of the subject of not enough money. Do you get that? So we say, I want more money, I want more money, I want more money. And what's the energy behind that? Is I don't have enough money, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough money, I'm afraid, I'm afraid, I'm afraid. So it's the energy behind what it is that we're focused on. It's not enough to just affirm it and know it, but it's the energy behind it. That's a huge, huge part of it. Yeah. It's so paying attention, there's this desperation behind it? Is there a desperate energy? Now when we do that, like the photo shows, we push it away. So on the one hand we're saying, I want to achieve it, I want to achieve it, I want to achieve it, and in the next breath, because it's coming from this energy of desperation, we are holding it from us. The universe, through law of attraction, it is a law, yes, through the law of attraction will bring to us what it is that we desire if we are aligned with it. But if we send out contradictory messages that say, or the energy that says, that's fearful, that says this isn't possible, then the universe is like, I'm not sure what you want. Do you want this? Do you want that? What is your predominant thought? Is it focused on what you desire and knowing that it's possible for you? Or is your predominant thought, yes, I want this, but I'm not really sure it's going to come. I'm not really sure. One of the keys to manifesting abundance in our life is gratitude. Being grateful. Being grateful for what is showing up in our life. Being grateful for what we have now. What we have right now. Deepak Chopra said this, gratitude opens the door to abundance consciousness. And why is that? Because when we are grateful for what we have, grateful for the car that we drive, grateful for the home that we live in, grateful for the clothes that we can put on our backs, grateful for all that we already have, there's power in that. How often are we actually grateful for that? How often are we grateful for the meal that is sitting in front of us? I often will send a silent blessing, just thanking, being grateful. And the more that we are grateful, the more the universe gives us more things to be grateful about. That's how it works. You know, when we walk down the street and we see a penny on the ground or some other coin, and we're like, oh, okay, sometimes we might pick it up, it's like, oh, it's just a penny. Be grateful. When you pay your bills, be grateful that you can pay a bill. Be grateful as you hold the check in your hand. Oh, maybe we don't write checks anymore. But be grateful that, I was at a store and I had to write a check because I was having issues with my chip, and they looked at me like, they honestly, we like had to call somebody because they, it's the strangest thing, if I had a check. He's like, I don't really actually know how to process this. Okay. So being grateful as you pay your bill online, sending energy to that, saying thank you for my ability to pay this bill. Sometimes we receive maybe less money than we'd hoped in whatever case. Oh God, I was really hoping to get this. I was really hoping to get this raise. Why did I get this amount instead? So again, when we have those thoughts, what does that do? It pushes it away. It holds it here. Instead of, thank you God, thank you Source, thank you for this blessing in my life, thank you for this gift. So getting into the habit of being grateful and constantly putting out that energy, being grateful for all that is in your life. And then here's taking it to a next level, is thinking about what it is you desire regarding abundance in your life, and being grateful as if it's here right now. Right now. That figure that you want to make every month, that trip that you want to take to Italy, whatever it is, maybe that's just me, that's my favorite place on the planet. Whatever amount that you have in your mind, be grateful for that. Imagining it, it's happening right here, right now. And feel it. Can you get that? Like when we close our eyes and we imagine that, we can feel it in our bodies. It's just what athletes do. When they're in competition, they imagine themselves winning the race. And then they actually achieve it the way that they imagined it, because the mind just lines right up with that, and then the universe does too. It's an amazing magic that happens. Amazing. The other piece that's important for manifesting abundance in our life is the principle, as we give, we receive. Yes? Some of you know this. Whether it's love, whether it's affection, doesn't matter what it is, as we send that out from our heart, it returns to us. It's the law of the universe. It cannot not do that. So if we are giving of our financial good, it then returns to us. But here's the key. It's not giving from a place of lack. It's not giving from a place of like, okay, I know I'm supposed to do this, but Leah said I should do this. I really want this. All right, I'll do this. It's giving from your heart. It's giving from that place of trusting, giving. So I'm going to suggest, or I'm going to do this, if you all would like to join me in this abundance exercise, abundance challenge, is to take $20, single bills this week, and give them away. Give them to a homeless person. Give them to a place that's meaningful to you. But give them away. And here's the thing, when you give them, don't just give it, but look at the homeless person in the eyes and give them that dollar bill or however much you want to give them. Give from your heart. And as you do that, notice how you feel. Notice how it transforms you. Notice. And as we do these things, as we start to monitor our thoughts, as we start to monitor our beliefs, and as we feel gratitude in our life for what our life is giving us already, as we start to feel gratitude for what we desire, as we start to give more from our heart, that's the art of abundance. It starts to come back to us. We start to experience abundance in a way we never have before. Can you see that that's possible? Yes? Yeah. So I want to end with a couple things. We talked about the abundance challenge. Who's willing to take that on with me? Okay, yeah, $20, single bills. You could do more if you'd like. I work at CU Boulder, so I'm in Boulder most days. And my goodness, I get a lot of homeless people. And there's a lot of people who are struggling. There's a lot of people who could use our love, who could use our light, who could use financial good. And so as you give, and you give from your heart, notice how that transforms you. And so I want to end with, I love that picture. See, there he is. He's visualizing. He's manifesting lots of money there. I apologize. I'm skipping around a little bit here. So I'm going to end with some affirmations. Now, as most of us know, affirmations are very powerful. But again, you're not just saying it. You're not just saying the affirmation. You're actually embodying it. You're actually feeling it in your bones. You're feeling it in your body, because that's where the real power comes from. Not just stating it, okay? So we're going to state these out loud. And as we go through each of them out loud, I just invite you to really feel it in your body. Feel it as if it's right here, right now, okay? So let's state these together. I am a child of the universe, richly endowed with the fullness of all good. Next one. God is my instant, constant, and abundant source of supply. Sorry, I'm just pausing in between just to let you take it in, okay? My income is constantly increasing. Next one. Money comes to me in expected and unexpected ways. I move from poverty thinking to prosperity thinking, and my finances reflect this change. I delight in the financial security that Last one. I release all resistance to money, and I now allow it to flow joyously into my life. So what I invite you to do is to pick one of these. You do have one of them on a card that was given to you when you walked in today. But these are powerful. But again, you want to embody it. You want to feel it in your body. And you want to repeat it over and over again. And be grateful for it showing up in your life. Be grateful that your life is abundant. Feel it and know that. And that's how you create abundance in your life. And that's truly the art. That's what makes it an art. Let's pray. I invite practitioners to please stand in high consciousness. So in this moment, just feeling the energy of abundance, feeling the energy of gratitude as we recognize and know the abundance that is showing up in our life. I'm knowing that whatever we desire, that it is not something that is far off, but it is something that is possible right here, right now. And so I'm knowing for each person here that whatever it is that they desire is theirs. I'm knowing that every person is blessed with the exact abundance that they desire and more. That they are developing a relationship with God where they recognize and remember that God is their source. Not their job, not the government, that God is indeed their source. And so I'm knowing as they walk this journey with abundance, that they are able to recognize the thoughts that are no longer serving them. They're able to recognize the beliefs that are no longer serving them. And to choose and affirm for their lives powerful affirmations and feel that in their being. And I'm knowing that this process is bringing to them all that they desire and more. And so I give thanks for the blessings that are raining down upon every person here as they take another step towards this life that is so abundant. And so I just let this go and I allow it to be, and I'm recognizing and knowing the blessings and the love and the light and the abundance that is raining down. And with a gracious and full heart, we affirm this together by saying, and so it is.